have no fear, we're back. We returned. It wasn't a one-off. It wasn't a fight for the fallen. It wasn't one of those. We're back weekly, right here. Friday morning, The Alternative. Colin Dunn, what's going on, man? Welcome back. Week 2, episode 2. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm ready to talk some wrestling. Wrestling.
Last week was so much wrestling, and not just one of those, like, you know, there's a SummerSlam pay-per-view and there's like a New Japan show that week, like no, it was a pretty good week of wrestling last week, and I think we're all running on fumes, especially now with this in the books, episode 2 of Dynamite. But we need to wake up before we get to any of that. Where can anyone catch you? Everyone.
Yeah, as always, you can find me on Twitter at UberTieGuy. I'm always tweeting about wrestling, following the shows when I'm not working PM shifts, obviously. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter.
Very good, at UberTieGuy. I don't even know if you said it.
I did.
It's late over here, way later for me than you. So you got that.
Oh, yeah.
You got that on me already. As always, on Twitter at the Hibiki TMD. That little red button, now hit it down below for all the best retro gaming and pro wrestling goodness. Speaking of goodness, man, I tweeted it out last night, immediately following the show. I did actually, I'll dox myself. I watched it at work. And if my boss will listen to this, fuck you. I don't care. I watched it at work for the most part. And I put the tweet out yesterday. Not a lot to complain about. Here I am 2 weeks in, Colin. Dynamite's in the books. I thought I'd be in a whole different place right now than I am. I'm not going to say I'm shocked, but I'm refreshingly just pleased.
I mean, yeah, no, it's one of those things where, like, I was thinking about it while watching the show as I finished the show today, where I'm thinking it's just nice having a different kind of wrestling. Like, you just, like, and I mean, even if, like, half of the people on this show were former WWE guys, because you had Pac there, Moxley, you know, Jake Hager, Chris Jericho, who's their world champion, stuff like that. Like, even if they are, it's Shawn Spears, him too. Like, even if you have all these former WWE guys, it's just nice not seeing them in a WWE ring. It's nice watching something that isn't WWE, and nothing against WWE. And you know me, I'm very, you know, pro WWE. I'm very, you know, I'm one of, like, the apologists, as they say online, and everything like that.
Let me back you up real quick before the Sharks come after you, because I know they're smelling blood because you're not saying the key word. Legitimate alternative wrestling program. Not something that you need Kevin Kelly as an alternate commentary to understand. Not something from Japan. Ring of Honor is the shits right now. I'm sorry. I loved Ring of Honor back in the day, but man, it's rough to watch. A legitimate competitor, not Impact. Finally, it's good to have that, is what Colin was trying to say before you come at him, because I know what you're thinking.
Exactly. Yeah, having AEW as a legitimate competitor that's a non-WWE thing, it's just very refreshing to watch.
It is, and it's such a throwback for me, because you were small kid then. And now it's like reliving my teens all over with, and so many little sprinkles of that feeling with Tony Schiavone's, those on-stage promos we talked about last week. So many things. Like we said also last week, how Cody came up, you know, backstage at WCW shows with his dad all the fucking time. He never watched WWF as a kid. This is all he knew. So you can definitely tell that's the feel he's going for with this. And they're going for, I should say, as a group. This is a group effort. You also catch that interview with Moxley, Nyla Rose, Awesome Kong, Jungle Boy, and Jericho on that talk show this week?
No, I did not.
It was all right. It was just, you know, them. But I think the general thing that all, you know, went around the boards and interviewed every one of them, they all came out with the feeling backstage is a team effort as opposed to a corporate, you got to shake everybody's hand, wear a fucking suit, kiss it, you know, that feel that they were used to. And, of course, for people like Jungle Boy, he's just amazed to be there, which I'm sure he's only been in this for, 2 years?
Yeah, like with Jungle Boy and, like, Marco Stunt, like, two people like them, you know, I don't think WWE would give them the time of day. And with AEW, you know, they're on TNT, they're a national program. It's, you know, it's opportunities for people who would, you know, people no one like us would ever hear of.
Yeah. And it's so ironic that they all, you know, the feel is that team effort feel for the roster members of AEW, because I feel like, maybe it's just me, Colin, for any documentary we've seen on NXT over the past few years, that's been the general consensus from that roster, is how NXT, as opposed to the main roster, is a team feeling. So you got both the rosters with that team feeling, let's go get them, going at each other every week.
Exactly. It's just refreshing to watch. I love what they're doing here. I love watching NXT. I like that there's competition again. I like that there's a legitimate competition feeling to wrestling again.
Shout out real quick. I don't know if you call it NWA Power episode 1 this week. Holy goddamn shit. It's shot like it's 1986. It's incredible. That may be my favorite wrestling show of the week. Not just because Dawkins in the intro, but man, if anyone hasn't checked that out, check it. It's only an hour of your time, too. That's the best part about NWA.
Really?
Yeah.
I heard about it and I saw people tweeting about it. I just didn't have the time to watch it. But if it's only an hour, it's definitely something I'll be willing to check out.
But you got to do it on Hibiki's terms. And Colin and anyone that hasn't seen it, I want you to do this before you watch Power. If you do, I want you to get on YouTube real quick and watch like any 2-minute promo, right, of anyone from that time period with that set, that NWA studio set. I want you to do that. Then watch NWA Power. It's amazing what they're doing in NWA right now. I'm telling you, it's not the best in ring right now. It's good. But it's just, I'm blown away. And everyone I've talked to, Colin, you're in the chat group. No, everyone's had good things to say about it. It's incredible. Nick Aldis, the man, by the way. Great champion.
Oh, yeah. Nick Aldis is one of those. Like, I was really happy when he didn't sign with AEW or any other place because I think Nick Aldis, with the NWA title and what he's doing, I think he's fantastic right now.
I think he would stand out in AEW, but I feel like if he would have came in this early, he would have been overshadowed much faster because Omega's getting the belt eventually.
Right.
It's not like it's never going to happen. So I feel like when Omega starts getting that title position, guys like him would take a back seat. But just imagining that feud those two could have would be pretty good, I feel like.
Oh, for sure. But the thing is with like Nick Aldis, I feel like him and MJF are kind of on the same level of like their characters are just similar enough that we only need one of them. And I don't know how you feel about this, but give me MJF all day.
We're going to get to MJF later on. That's maybe the one thing I'm the most saltiest about on the show was that booking
Not enough
decision.
MJF?
There was MJF, but just what they did. We'll get there. AEW Dynamite Episode 2 took place in Boston, Colin. Just as jacked up a crowd as last week from DC. Once again, same commentary team. Real quick, did you think Jim Ross did better this week than last week? You think it's about the same?
I think about the same. I think Jim Ross in AEW is a good fit. I think he's probably and we said this last week. He's the best he's ever been since WWE. I feel like in AEW because his New Japan work was god awful, and so I think him with Shivani and Excalibur, I think they make the perfect team.
Excalibur, I feel like he gets better and better every week. I think the more experience this guy has, in 5 years from now, Excalibur may be one of the very best in the game if he keeps it up. He feels like he learns fast.
Absolutely.
Biggest news before we get down to any of the results or any of that from this week's show. Last week, everyone knows now, AEW Week 1 beat NXT. Not only did AEW beat NXT, outscoring them in the ratings 1.4 to 0.8. from NXT, which is surprising that NXT didn't even break a 1, which I thought they would. It's the highest rated show for TNT in 5 years, Colin. I feel like that demographic, that quote, went away that a lot of the old heads in wrestling shoot interviews and the propaganda documentaries like to tell us, that lost WCW fan. I feel like maybe they might have came back. Maybe it was just a gathering of fans from all promotions, too. But this week, we're down about 400,000 fans. And I know people, they're either A, cracking jokes on social media, or B, making excuses. I'm over here like C, probably like you, Colin. I kind of expected this. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, with anything with rating drops, it's not unexpected. And the thing is, there's the Major League Baseball playoffs are happening right now, so that could also be a big factor in it. But at the same time,
how dare you use a sport as an excuse?
Right. I'm gonna catch flack for it later, I'm sure. It is worth mentioning though that with AEW being down about 400,000 people, NXT dropped from about 845 to 790, which is a less drop. That's not a bad drop compared to AEW's. Still, AEW beat NXT by a long shot, but still.
A lot of people too, when they say the sports things or anything that anyone's saying about it, It's the age we're in, guys, too. This ain't 99 or 97 anymore. You're not going to see a 6.8 unless it's goddamn Super Bowl or something. The reality is, you can catch NXT on demand pretty much immediately when it's over. You can't do that with AEW, but we're in a different age. If you really want to catch an episode of AEW, wink, wink, Colin, how'd you prepare for this show? You're going to find a way to watch AEW. So I think for these numbers still, in this age, in this era, and just with what technology is, they should still be very happy with those numbers. Let's be honest.
Yeah, especially with an up and coming, company like AEW starting this show brand new. It's definitely like those are great numbers to be starting out with.
Yeah, and for NXT too. For any wrestling promotion, for anything on television nowadays, those are good numbers, I feel like, for the most part. For a weekly program.
For sure. For anything non-WWE to reach over 1 million on cable television is outstanding.
Exactly. It's the Hulu and Netflix age, guys. I don't know what you want me to say. So many people last week for the first episode, I saw so many jokes about hitting the last button on their remote and how they haven't done that in forever. Shout out to Drew Ortman. I can't remember the last time I hit last channel on my fucking actual cable remote because I never watched it.
Exactly. The thing is with that is like people want to complain that like the ratings are dropping and stuff like that, but in this day and age, I don't think a lot of people are watching TV anymore. Like, usually if it's not on some sort of streaming service or network, they don't watch it. And so, for me, it was, it's exciting because this was the first time I had ever, like, watched 2 shows at once, at least with last week's, with watching AEW on my laptop and NXT on my phone. I would never do that with, like, WWE and New Japan. Now, to be fair, I'd watch the WWE show normally and then catch New Japan when I can, stuff like that. But with AEW and NXT, that competition feeling's back. The rosters are stacked. The storylines are great between both shows. So I want to watch both of them when it's happening because I don't want to miss. I don't want to be left in the dust with everything. I want to see what's happening when it's happening.
I agree. I feel like, though, NXT is starting to get... It kind of starts feeling like having guys just for the sake of having them. It's like a piston contest, like the roster, I mean. It's too much of a good thing right now with the Ciampas and Balor's and at Riddle, and there's so many top guys. Velveteen Dream's waiting to be a top guy yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, seems maybe NXT seems way more crowded. And I know AEW is an actual full roster. I guess NXT's a full roster now, not just developmental. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking saying that, but I don't know, maybe AEW is just more diverse with just not everyone could be a fucking top guy.
Exactly. And with NXT, it's been that way for years now before AEW was ever even a consideration. It's because Vince McMahon just wants to sign up who he can so no one else can have them, regardless of if they're used or not.
Shout out to Union Smack Podcast, where we cover NXT UK every week. The prostitute promotion of the British wrestling world.
I'm not going to lie, I took a sip of my drink and I almost spit it out. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. Shout out to NXT UK.
Shout out to the indie scene in the UK for hanging on. Keep on hanging on.
It's on life support, but it's still kicking, man.
Just like this before we go off track again. The Young Bucks and Private Party kicked off this show. From what I've seen from Private Party, I like them. They're very smooth, you could say.
For sure. Absolutely. I see the comparison between Private Party and the Street Profits a lot. And, well, the comparison can be made. I don't like to do that. I don't like to compare them too often. I think Private Party, I think they're phenomenal. I think, and if this match doesn't prove that they're easily one of the best tag teams they have, I don't know what will. This match was outstanding in every single way. And I mean, I know you are definitely not one to praise the Young Bucks, willy-nilly. So I'm curious what you thought of the match.
Well, first of all, I'm going to say the gross line of the week. Are you ready?
I'm ready for it.
It's got to be a tradition now, I feel like. Private Party is like the Young Bucks had sex with the Street Profits.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong.
And I got to compliment the Young Bucks for 2 weeks in a row.
Not proud to admit it, are you?
Smaller doses, man. They got more in-ring time this week, I feel like. A little, maybe about 5 or 6 minutes more, right, with this match. But
Yeah.
they held back. They didn't do it the whole match. They did those spots, I feel like, again, when it mattered. And I don't know what it is. These fucking dicks, Matt and Nick, have you been holding all this in-ring psychology in about looking like you're in a fucking actual fight as opposed to ballet with facial expressions? I'm not used to seeing these guys with. I'm seeing it. I can't lie to you guys. I got to be honest. You call me an asshole at the end of the day. Call me anything. Never call me a liar. 2 weeks in a row. I'm not hating seeing the Young Bucks. I'm sure that's going to change because they got a pay-per-view coming up. They're going to give them 40 fucking minutes. But um, here's my thing. Eventually, they're going to have to win a match. And I get it. Yes, they don't want to do this. Well, they're executive VPs. They shouldn't be winning. Eventually, they got to win a match. Because what's the casual who's never heard of the Young Bucks going to... Why should I give a shit about these dorks and headbands? They never win.
Exactly. See, that's the thing, and I feel like it kind of backs them into a corner where if they book the Elite too strong, people are going to start saying, oh, they're biased, oh, it's because they own the company, blah, 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 blah. But if they also keep booking themselves to lose, it's like, oh, these guys are idiots. What are they doing? And yeah, like you said, to the casual fan who might just be tuning into AEW for the first time, maybe there's some 10-year-old kid who's seeing AEW and this is what's getting him into wrestling. And they see the Young Bucks, and sure, they're good, but if they keep losing, then that's going to be the impact they leave.
Even though, like, the only kid I've ever really seen in the crowd in an AEW show was the kid in the Orange Cassidy cosplay. You know what I'm talking about?
I love that kid. I saw him last week. I thought that was one of the best things ever.
Our friend JD just attended this show last night. And he even tweeted out and he DM'd me that there wasn't really any kids there at all. It was just like neckbeards and your typical what you would think,
Mm-hmm.
But you think that'll change too, real quick over time? You think I think it's bound to happen on national television. There's going to be more families and kids over time. It's impossible for that not to happen. It's not like they're ECW out there.
Yeah, for sure, and especially with them being on TNT, which is such a basic cable network channel. So I mean, it's gonna be seen. It's definitely going to be one of those things where like you're flipping channels, on a Wednesday night, you just happen to come across it, and maybe something, causes you to stop. So I mean, and then you become a fan of the show, and whether you're into wrestling or not. So I think it's bound to happen that a more diverse fan base will sort of start to appear.
I feel like
at the same time, it's also Boston, so I'm not sure what to expect, anyways.
That's true. That's very true. I feel like there's two key demographics. It's a swish. They're going to snag them. It's teenage girls and middle-aged women because the only fucking shows TNT shows all day are Supernatural reruns and Law and Order reruns. That's it. I feel
exactly. It's you kind of pick and choose what your demographic's going to be.
This match was everything you would expect, guys. I mean, we're not going to go hold for hold. That's not what we're about here. But I will say something I do notice that AEW is doing right now that only Japan does. This is something we talk about them borrowing parts from WCW. I didn't really notice it last week in week one. I don't even know if they did it, but I did notice Justin Roberts in this match during the match. I know we're going, 10 minutes has gone by, 10 minutes has gone by. And I remember Jim Ross on commentary, he went, what was that? It was hilarious.
Yeah, I remember hearing that. I do like how they do that. I like how they're kind of borrowing from New Japan and stuff like that. But I did find it funny when Jim Ross was like, "What was that?" And then Excalibur, someone was like, "It was Jim Roberts," saying it's time has passed. Yeah, no, I definitely like it, and I was very happy that Private Party won this match. I do want to say that I never posted it, but when the bracket was released, I kind of put my prediction. Somewhere on Twitter, I think. And I put Private Party, I think, making it to the finals. But I know I definitely put them beating the Young Bucks, and I thought for sure, yeah, that's not going to happen. And I was very surprised, but definitely happy it did.
Same. This is why I would have put Private Party over. I don't feel like a loss here, especially for the casuals rant I just did, right? I feel like there's a hell of a lot more footage and backlog of the Young Bucks highlight reels that they could show anytime to show a casual fan. There's nothing a Private Party, so I feel like the team that needed to get established and get some highlight reel footage got the win, and I thought that was a good move.
Exactly.
And that was that. The Bucks are out of the tournament, right, Colin?
Yeah.
First round.
Single elimination, first round. Yeah, no, definitely. And the first match, too. Like, that's what's surprising.
Yeah. We will. Did we say who we think's taken last week, the whole tournament? I think we did. I just can't remember.
I don't think we did, actually.
Who do you think, real quick?
Oh, man. It's a tough one for me. I want to say Private Party might pull it off. I think my finals that I predicted were Private Party versus SCU. And I think, realistically speaking, SCU might be the one who take it.
You got the Dark Order in there too. In my head, I don't know who does Private Party have up next.
Wait a minute. I also might have selected the. We've done podcasts before. We've been friends for a while. You know how I am with most wrestlers. You know, I'm a Baron Corbin fan. I'm a Jinder Mahal fan. It takes a lot for me to not like a wrestler, or for them to do absolutely nothing for me. Dark Order is one of those teams. I could not care less if they're on my TV or not. I have no interest in the Dark Order. They just don't do anything for me.
Which is a fucking shame, because when they were the Super Smash Bros. And PWG or wherever they used to wrestle, the same moveset, just kind of different. They were tremendous, and they were pretty good. And this gimmick, you're right, it's so indie and so I bought my gear at high spots. It's just stupid, and it doesn't work for me. I mean, okay, here it comes, first anger. How many dark characters do we fucking need in 2019 across the boards in professional wrestling? Does every roster in the world now need 4 dark scary guys on it? Do we? Do we need Aleister Black and The Fiend on the same roster? If they're not going to feud, what's the fucking point?
Exactly. It's just and I like the dark characters. It's just Dark Order. I'm just not a fan of them.
Well, I'm glad you like dark characters, because we still got to fucking review Darby Allin and Jimmy Havoc later. 2 more dark characters. We'll get there.
I mean, I'm a Jimmy Havoc mark until the day I die, so I'm okay with that.
I'm a Sonata mark, and I'm glad they're fucking finally doing something relevant with them. But yeah, there's too many dark characters. Reel back. All right, let's calm down and cheer me up with a lot of people's favorite part of the show, quite possibly my favorite part of the show. We have the newly christened Inner Circle stable. We'll get to if we like the name or not here in a second. Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, still going to call him LAX, and Jake Luger coming out. What'd you think of this promo? Jericho lined them all up. I feel like he did a great job getting the group over why they're there, who they each are individually, why we should care about them more than WWE did for Swagger in 5 years.
No, absolutely. You know, I like the name. It's definitely it's not what I expected, and it's definitely an interesting name. But I dig the Inner Circle. And I think the way Jericho delivered this promo was just fantastic. He put himself over as the guy in charge, and he basically said, "These are my people. Like, these are the people who work for me." But he also made sure to establish how each of them is like a key person to their stable and is like needed for victory. And he put everyone over. I will say, I don't know if you noticed this, and someone pointed it out to me on Twitter before I watched the show. And when he was going down the line introducing Jack Hagar, I had no idea that's how his last name was pronounced, or even if it is.
Hager.
But when he said the most dominant MMA fighter today, I swear to you there was an audible laugh from the audience. I thought that was hilarious, and I kind of laughed myself. Not at the fact that he was saying that, but at the fact that there was the laugh. But I mean, he's also, you know, he's not too far off in the sense that he is undefeated.
Right.
Sure, his opponents have looked like they've just been street bums that walked in on the wrong day. However, you know, he's not wrong. And with the way he looks, he has the look that works perfectly for AEW, especially today.
By the way, and only Jim, I feel like, will get this, and I want to say this because I know Jim's listening. The guy that Jake Hager fought in one of those weigh-ins is the guy in my head that I thought looked like RGT85 earlier. Look it up and you'll see what I mean. Colin, I agree, and I feel like, yeah, it was funny, but my thing is, are any of the people in that audience going to go up to Hager and tell him they think it's funny? I don't think so, because I feel like, for one, the visual aesthetic here, it's just the size difference in general. Like we said last week, it looks like fucking Andre the Giant in this promotion. And even Jericho said, they're not just the toughest MMA fighter or whatever in the world, but the biggest guy there, blah, blah, blah. I thought by the end of it, though, yeah, there was that snicker at the beginning, but that stare, that creepy, I'm going to fuck your wife stare from Hager, I feel like, for me, something about him, he has an aura now. He never had this kind of aura about him in WWE, and maybe that's me.
Exactly. You know, to me, he kind of looks like Orange Cassidy's dad in the right angle.
I think
like,
we said that last week, yeah.
Yeah, he has the same hair. He has, like, if you just aged Orange Cassidy, it would be Jack Hager.
Disgruntled high school volleyball coach going on strike.
Basically.
Going to fuck your wife.
And see, for the first time in a while, I'm excited to see him wrestle. Like,
I agree.
Like, I'm excited to see what he does.
I hope we're over the singlet. I hope he just wears, like, MMA shit. I'm over suspender swagger. It's hard to take that serious on certain guys.
Yeah, there's only few people anymore who can still get away with wearing a singlet in wrestling, and those people are Rhino and RVD.
And once a year, The Undertaker.
Exactly.
I thought this was great. Of course, we all know the infamous line now, but the crowd chanting, "We the people." Jericho shutting that shit down, saying, that chant's dead. It was a horrible idea from creative. Not saying WWE creative, but we all know what he meant. And,
for sure.
And blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it was great. It was visceral, kind of fuck you promo to WWE. I feel like the promo was really, besides making fun of Sammy Guevara's looks, it was a shot at WWE. But it was one of those things I talked about on, I think it was Broski was a guest on Hibiki High Spots. We talked about things we'd like to see. And we both didn't like the sledgehammer thing with Cody, right? We thought it was too over the top. It was too, yes, it got people talking, but at what expense? In a way, it kind of showed that they're in your head. But if they're going to do that shit, do it subtly. And I feel like this was subtly, and that's why it was so well executed for me. And I love this.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm super excited for the Inner Circle and what they're going to do. Whether they last how long they last is going to be interesting to me, because the Inner Circle, like, with the members and the way they've been introduced, strike me as a kind of thing, like, they're going to be here for this storyline, but inevitably when the Elite kind of defeat them in some big 5-on-5 match, I feel like that's when they kind of dissolve.
Yeah. I feel like Jericho's going to be the one that, like, he's going to push around Sammy Guevara a lot, too. Like, he's going to pick on him. I just get that feeling.
I mean, he has an easy, like, he has a very punchable face, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Him and Angelico are tied. They're actually in the finals for most punchable face in AEW right now, in my head, in my tournament, in my head.
I mean, hell, that's a match I'd like to see.
We also didn't mention, we got some, I put it out on Twitter, we got some questions we're going to answer for you guys at the end of the show. Stick around, don't miss that. One of those questions concerning Darby Allin, and we'll get to that question right now before we get to Darby Allin and Jimmy Havoc. This is from our buddy Logan, at Logan Myers 144. If you're not familiar with him, check him out. Check out his channel, Future Wrestling, all that goodness. His questions basically is Darby Allin that spot Jeff Hardy guy? Do we see him as AEW's version of Jeff Hardy, basically? Colin?
That's an interesting, I mean, given his entrance at the end of the show to attack Jericho, which I loved, and we'll get to that later. I mean, yeah, I don't know if I'd compare him to Jeff Hardy, but I definitely am, like, I like Darby Allin's, I like his gimmick, I like the kind of, like, I would say he's like ECW extreme, but at the same time, like, we saw the Cracker Barrel clash, it's a mouthful to say, and some of the things he pulled off there, so, like, he definitely is. Like, if AEW introduces, like, some sort of hardcore title or something like that, which I kind of hope they do, but at the same time, if they do, they'll just be called every other promotion in the history, so maybe they shouldn't. But if they introduce that, Darby Allin's one of those people, like, I hope he wins the belt and just beats the shit out of people for it and everything like that.
Skateboards his way to title victory.
I just love watching him. Just because he's very unique. Like, there's not a whole lot of people who bring skateboards into wrestling and just start beating them with it.
I feel like by the way, it only took an episode and a half now, Colin, but finally, I completely disagree with you. I kind of do feel like he's their version of Jeff Hardy, and he has that potential, just that mystique and that silent kind of what's the enigma they love to say, right? He's totally
Yeah,
their version of that. I feel like, and I wanted to hate this guy the first time I ever saw him. And no, the first time it was in what? It wasn't PWG. It was Evolve, I think. I saw Darby Allin. And I thought he was completely idiotically reckless. And the more I watch this guy, somebody back there is getting in his head like, all right, no, you're no fucking around now. Go out there and fucking work. We're on goddamn TNT, for Christ's sakes. And yes,
right.
he's still doing some reckless. I hated the Cracker Barrel match too. There's another disagreement, Colin. Boom, 2 in a row, 2 for 1. I hated that match. I hated that stupid spot too, where if we did the coffin drop on the barrel. Sorry.
That was my favorite spot of the match. But I mean, we started this podcast because we know you and I are going to disagree on some shit. So I mean, what can you do?
I just thought logically it was so dumb. It didn't make sense, and like it was gonna hurt anyway. So why do I don't know, dumb. But I feel like
Maybe that is kind of why, you might have turned me on this. Maybe that is why it makes him kind of like, a Jeff Hardy type character. Like he knows it's gonna hurt him and he knows it's gonna suck, but he does it for the risk of being able to hurt his opponent more.
yeah, maybe you got me there. I feel like, though, I don't know if you call it AEW Dark. I feel like now what I'm seeing, Darby Allin can actually work. His match with Shima is good.
Didn't catch it, but I heard great things about it. I am looking forward to AEW Dark this week because my friend who was at the show in Boston told me that Joey Janela versus Kenny Omega was one of the best matches he's ever seen live. So I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
Are we
But
talking?
yeah,
Are we talking about
Darby Allin,
JD? Because I said JD's name earlier. If that's who we're talking about.
no, it was one of my other friends who
Oh,
lives in Boston.
there you go.
But yeah, no, I'm definitely excited for that. I know Darby Allin can work. I've seen a lot of his work I've seen a couple of things from Evolve and his other AEW stuff, and so definitely excited to see him win. I think he could be world champion one day, kind of like in a Jeff Hardy, like sort of underdog. He's not supposed to win this match, but he
Right.
does anyways type scenario.
Is Allen one of those guys too? Because he is for me. For you, like when you watch him, you get anxiety because you're waiting on him to get injured any second. Like he scares me.
I mean, no one will ever quite top Big E doing that diving spear for me because every time Big E does that, I'm always convinced he's about to break his neck.
That's
but
one too.
He does come pretty close.
Anytime Sasha Banks leaves her feet, for the most part, I feel like she's gonna land right on her fucking head. Which I don't know if I'd actually hate or not. I feel like Darby Allin too, and that he's translating that enigma, just that persona and that look, and it comes through in his work. He's unlike. He's very, very unique. Like you were, his style is just, it's smooth, but it's a reckless kind of smooth. It's kind of weird to describe how he works, and I've never really seen a lot of guys like him. And when you do, you know you're seeing something special, and I think they totally have something special. This match, for no fucking reason at all, by the way, with Jimmy Havoc, who, I'll be honest with you, man. Here it comes. I feel the complete opposite about it. I dread Jimmy Havoc when it's time to watch Jimmy. I think he's a garbage wrestler. I get it. He trained up in Wigan, and he can do the European grappling style, and he's with the Billy Robinson guys. I get it, but he's not doing that. He goes out there and he does bullshit for me, and I can't stand him. I think his character's dumb. It's not scary looking to me. You know what I see when I see Jimmy Havoc? I see 40-year-old midlife crisis hot topic guy cruising for 20-year-old poon at the fucking mall. That's what I see, or at a goddamn fucking concert. That's what I see when I see Jimmy Havoc. This fucking guy who's been a bass player in this horror punk band for fucking 20 years on the local. Just, I don't like him. He just irritates me even to look at, and I don't like to be that close-minded. Maybe that's why if he was a shitty heel character, it would work, and I would hate him as a heel.
I agree with everything you said, but in the sense that that's why I like him. I like.
Damn it, Colin. I thought I had you.
I know, it's a big shocker right there. No, but that this thing, and maybe it's just because me and Jimmy Havoc have the same hair, aside from the fact that mine is colored. But like,
you're not bald in the back. He's going bald. That's why he grows his hair.
Well, give me a few months. But see, that's the thing. I like Jimmy Havoc in the sense that I tend to like the wrestlers that don't look quite like they should be there. And Jimmy Havoc 100% kind of looks like, he stumbled into a hot topic, a tornado happened, he lost his memory, and he just walked into a wrestling ring and said, "Yeah, this works. I'll just do this for now." Like, he doesn't look like he should be there, and he looks like a 40-year-old dad going through a midlife crisis. And that's why I like him. He's funny looking to me.
I feel like if we loaded up randomly your copy of WWE 2K19 or whatever and just put on your universe mode, you've booked Spike Dudley and James Ellsworth for the world title because you don't care what guys look like. Fuck it.
Well, I mean, you have to have some sort of look to you for me to like him.
Oh my.
But yeah, no, for sure. I definitely see your point though. He's not for everyone, especially because I know you and like a few other people for sure aren't into like kind of like the death match style.
I am. I love FMW. That's the thing.
Well, he's more of like the light tubes and staple gun type death match people, which it's kind of like a very hit or miss thing. Like you either really like that kind of style or you absolutely abhor it. And with Jimmy Havoc, I like the CZW death match type stuff. So for Havoc's kind of like the right character for me to really get behind, especially in the hardcore sense. And putting it up against someone like Darby Allin, who kind of has a similar character to him, this match was great for me.
You know what I hate seeing too? I think it's why it irritates me even more. I hate seeing a guy, to me, when I see him work a style like that, when I know, like I said, about his upbringing and where he trained, it comes off to me as squandered potential. Like he's cheating himself. Like why guys that do that garbage bullshit, like, he seems like a sweetheart, okay, but the Necro Butcher, terrible fucking wrestler. He had to do that shit to stand out and even get recognized. Jimmy Havoc can work. You don't got to do this shit all the time. You could do it in small doses for sure. But don't make that your MO where he's a deathmatch guy, because what's the MO on fucking deathmatch guys? Hep C and tons of ring rats. That's a deathmatch guy and just tons of scars. Fuck.
Right. Now, I know you did a little bit of this last week. Now, I kind of want to, 2 weeks in, I kind of want to fantasy book something for you, get your opinion on it. So, Darby Allin beat Jimmy Havoc with the coffin drop, everything like that. So he now faces Chris Jericho this Wednesday for the AEW title. Now, what if, at the risk of kind of not necessarily burying Allin, but at the risk of making a transitional champion so soon in your title history, what if Darby Allin does the impossible and beats Chris Jericho for the belt? And then the title match then becomes Darby Allin versus Cody Rhodes at Full Gear, and that's when Cody Rhodes beats Darby Allin. Then it kind of gives a different story to be told, with the Inner Circle wanting to get revenge on the Elite and wanting to get that title back. I think that would make for an interesting story to watch.
It would. I don't feel like that's. Here's what I see him doing. I feel like Darby Allin, he's going to have a hell of a showing. This is to showcase Darby Allin. This whole match is basically they see in Darby Allin what me, you, Logan, everyone else is seeing in Darby Allin right now. They're testing him. They're going out there. They're going to give him some. They're going to get him over strong. They're going to get him over to the point where you think he's seriously about to beat Jericho. And I think they're going to have the enforcer, Jake Luger, interfere. And that's where, he's going to be a DQ, and I get it. But DQs are essential in booking wrestling sometimes, guys. Sometimes you got to do DQ. This will lead to Hager and Darby Allin possibly at Full Gear, or a feud for the next couple months. And in those matches with Hager, it's going to be a David Goliath booking. And Hager's going to win more times than not, but after a while, after so many times of failing, maybe, I don't know, the third match, Darby Allin will finally beat Jake Hager and be the first guy to do it. And that's what's going to put Darby Allin over. And then you're finally planting the seeds for then your actual title push then. Because right now I feel like it's way too soon if they're going to do that. But Darby Allin.
For sure. No, it would definitely be too soon. But it just kind of one of those things I was thinking about. And I thought I wouldn't mind seeing it. Especially because, like, Darby Allin, I feel like Darby Allin winning the belt would kind of get one of those, like, oh shoot, I gotta tune over to AEW really quick kind of reactions.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's another complaint I have with already 2 weeks in. I don't want them to Russo this shit. They're starting to hot shot a lot of stuff here. And I get it. You got to get new eyes and all that stuff. But you got to draw a line too. You can't just be known for, because when you stop doing that, when you're 4 months from now, when you're not hot shot booking anymore, people you reeled in are going to expect that. Be like, why aren't you doing that anymore? TNA.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I definitely get that.
I don't know, man. God, it's hard podcasting and thinking about this shit. I can imagine the stress these guys go through trying to run a fucking corporate ass company. Ugh.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think I could ever be a booker. I'd lose my mind.
And we're not going to run down any real details of. For me, I don't have a lot to say about this. The B Priestley, Sakura versus Riho and Britt Baker. I mean, what do you think, Colin?
Well, here's the thing. If you followed me on Twitter, if you've listened to any show where she's been mentioned, you know B Priestley, my girl, one of my favorite wrestlers by far. I love B Priestley, the first and only wrestler I've ever interviewed. Fun fact, I did interview B Priestley at one point in my early writing career.
Very nice.
Yeah, I have no idea what happened to that article, but it's something. I watched this match. It didn't do a whole lot for me, if I'm being honest. I don't know who Emi Sakura is. I don't know why she's there.
Is she a lion tamer? Is that her? Like, she wears a mustache, right?
Something like that.
What is she doing?
It seemed like one of those, she was kind of there just because they needed someone to team with B Priestley. Because the real story being told is B Priestley versus Britt Baker. That's a rivalry that's been brewing for months now, even outside of AEW. They're also, next week, Rio versus Britt Baker for the AEW Women's Championship. That was announced on the show on Wednesday. So, yeah, this match was kind of one of those, get them out there so, like, people can see who they are and see what they can do. And that's kind of all it was for me. Now, I know you, along with a couple other people, I didn't really notice anyone saying this until you kind of retweeted something and everything like that. There are some people who are not a fan of Britt Baker's wrestling.
I don't hate her. I don't think she's terrible. I don't think first of all, she's plan B. Let's say that right now. She isn't plan A. Plan A was Kylie Ray, who, by the way, the newest Impact signing, Colin.
I did see that. It's funny with this whole thing with, her leaving and everything, and like the whole reports of her just leaving wrestling altogether. I was very disappointed. I thought she's fantastic from what I've seen. Turns out she just didn't want to be all elite anymore.
There's tons of speculation on that whole situation. We're not going to get into any of it. For one, it's not my business, and I don't care that much, to be honest.
I mean, I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to know what the thought process was, but yeah, it's not our business to speculate here. It's too much to deal with.
But like I said, I tweeted out the other day, some of you motherfuckers are like private investigators when this shit comes out. You want to know every last tidbit, and it's like it consumes your entire day. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, people.
Exactly.
Man, I just see media. I got to be honest, dude. Sorry to cut. I just feel like I see mediocrity. I can't lie to you. And she's good. It's just not someone I'd build a division around anytime soon. Not with that character, at least. Yay, you're a dentist.
I think. Well, I mean, I'm not going to discredit her. She's a legitimate dentist. She went to school and wrestled for however long it takes to be a dentist. Now, I'm not going to discredit her work being able to achieve that. However,
did you know that D'Lo Brown was actually a certified public accountant, and they mentioned it on there, but it's not like he came out there in IRS clothes.
I mean, to be fair, and I see your point there. I did not know that actually.
I don't know why I know that.
To be fair, if I went to school and was pro wrestling and I could say that I was a doctor in anything, I probably wouldn't shut up about it either. To be fair, I mean, doctor, dentist, pick and choose. But yeah, I feel like Britt Baker she's kind of like Bailey in a sense where like you wouldn't build a division around Bailey, but you give her the title and let her run with it for a few months.
Solid hand, someone to send out there to get. At the end of the day, once you establish Britt Baker, now a year from now, you use her to get other people over, because she's a good worker. I don't know. A lot of people are out there. I see a lot of debates already about who's women's divisions. For me, hands down, it's an Io Shirai alone is better than all of AEW's women's division. I'm sorry if people don't want to hear that. Io Shirai is incredible, especially this character she's doing.
Oh, yeah. Io Shirai is by far one of my favorite women's wrestlers today in NXT. Regardless, put whatever superlative you want. They're fantastic.
But you throw in the dominance and just the believability of the Bays, man, and just Jesus Christ, you got Candice LeRae, Mia Yim's no slouch. You got a ton of top women in NXT. It's not even close, in my opinion, right now.
I mean, yeah. No, when you look at the NXT women's roster and the AEW women's roster, yeah, it's you could definitely get a lot of good, they're not bad divisions. Let's make that perfectly clear. Neither of them are bad. They're both fantastic. But I mean, with AEW, you have at least off the names I can say off the top of my head. B Priestley, my favorite. Obviously, I'm a little biased, but you have her, Sheeta, Rio, people like those. Where, yeah, they're fantastic wrestlers. I think Leva Bates is also very good. I don't know everyone's general opinion on her, but I think she's fantastic. Go Blue Pants. But when you look at WWE's, with NXT's roster, you got Bianca Belair, Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, Io Shirai, Mia Yim, Shayna Baszler, Rhea Ripley is there. It's not, you can't compare them. It's just NXT's female division is way better.
Yeah. Well said. I can't argue that. And the tag match, I mean, I feel like nothing really amazing here. Just standard. Get who you want to get over. I feel like Rio's really over more than any of the other women.
Oh, absolutely. It was a good match. Wasn't bad. But yeah, no, I mean, it was there to put over people, get storylines going, and nothing more.
I do like her. It's like a Rings of Saturn with the mandible claw, and it's like her finisher or whatever, and it's like a play to the Dennis character. That's all right. I don't hate that.
Yeah, no, it's a nice touch.
Next week we get Riho and Britt Baker for the title. More of that Russo-ness. I mean, you got Full Gear right there, just waiting. I mean, I don't know, but obviously they have something in mind. So it's too early to make judgments on their booking in week 2.
It's one of those matches that's easily going to end with some sort of interference by B Priestley, because Priestley versus Britt Baker is the story they want to tell with that, not Britt Baker versus Rio.
And I feel like a lot of people too, are just waiting to pounce as soon as AEW does something awful creatively or just a blunder PR wise. The people that that dread AEW and everything about it, the WWE defenders, as we call them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like what they did when Nyla Rose said the ill-advised comment about the person who was heckling her. They jumped on that as soon as they could.
I mean, she was an idiot for that, but that is what it. But on this, I feel like I can't really shit on booking decisions on week 2. I can't. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that to them. It's kind of not fair. It's kind of I don't want to come off like I'm just out for blood. I'm waiting on them to fuck up. No, it's too like now. A month or 2 from now, I'll have some other words to say probably, but Sean Spears, Jon Moxley. I know we're running short on time, Colin. It's been a good app and we're running long, but whatever. Sean Spears definitely, he jumps off the screen way more than he ever did in WWE for me. I feel like he's one of the most underrated guys in wrestling right now.
Absolutely. That's the thing. I think I've seen a lot of people saying Sean Spears either just doesn't have the impact they want him to and everything like that. I fully disagree. I think Sean Spears is a fantastic. Because I think Ty Dillinger was criminally underutilized when he was on the WWE roster. I think he was underutilized in NXT half of the time. He got over in NXT, and they finally started using him more. But when he got called up, aside from the big Rumble pop, he did nothing on the main roster worth noting. Do you remember anything he did on the main roster in WWE?
Imagine all the way back now, King of the Ring 96, when Austin cut the Austin 316 speech. Imagine if WWE never capitalized on Austin 316 and they just let it linger. Just like they did Rusev Day, Ty Dillon. Imagine if they didn't turn the rock and listen to the people. When the fuck did they stop letting stuff be organic? Well, it's so see-through now with the main roster, and it's already borderline unbearable to watch that shit because it's such corporate bleh to me.
Right. For sure.
It's shit. We never think outside of the box anymore, and when we do, we're going to sure as shit fuck it up. Hell in a Cell. It's
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
it's such a case with that company right now with their big two shows. It's we got the money and we're running. We got money coming in by the truckload for the next how much time's left on the Saudi contract? 8 years now, nine and a
Something
half.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're good. They're not worried
And,
about shit.
and one thing I was thinking of when I was watching this match, Pac joined the commentary for Sean Spears versus John Moxley, and I'm seeing them at the end of the match, kind of all standing on, like when they were all pictured on screen, and for I think the 1 second they were, with the former Ty Dillinger, the former Dean Ambrose, the former Adrian Neville, and I'm looking at all three of them, and I'm like, man, how could WWE have been this stupid to let three of their best performers squander and go? Like it's astounding to me that they couldn't see the potential with all of them, and now they're being utilized in AEW as some of their top performers.
Well, some of them are just wired completely different. Let's be honest. That interview I saw Ambrose on, I was talking about at the beginning of the show. I mean, he's a case of he was handed the keys. He just didn't really give a fuck because he just couldn't do the environment. That's not him. So sometimes it's not always, just they misuse their talent. But Neville, it certainly was. Ty Dillinger, it certainly was. So you're not wrong on that end.
Exactly. As far as the match goes, I thought it was good. I mean, certainly nothing like, mind blowing. I'm not going to, hell, a week from now, I'm certainly not going to be saying, man, that Sean Spears Moxley match was fantastic.
Hey, man, Tully Blanchard, give it to him. He did it again. He looked good out there. He got some nice heat.
And I think putting Tully Blanchard with Sean Spears is fantastic. It's just a fantastic decision.
But of course, it was pretty much, I expected, I guess, a little bit more on the end of just the outcome. It was just a paradigm shift out of nowhere, basically.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things where, like, it was mostly just because they wanted to, get Moxley and Ambrose to, get to that sometime soon. And I'm really excited for that match. And especially with, because we could get to the end, because, like I said, Moxley beat Spears with the paradigm shift.
Well, we forgot about your favorite part, the return of the cleaner.
That's what I'm getting to, is the fact that, the cleaner is back. That was one of my favorite, because that's when I started watching Kenny Omega, was when he was the cleaner. And, yeah, he came out, broom covered in barbed wire, he had the bag covered in barbed wire, and I liked that, because he wanted an even fight with Moxley. I liked that a lot. He tossed him the bat, and then that's when Pac, ambushes Omega with the chair, and that's when, it's another story that can be told. And especially with what Pac was saying on commentary about he's undefeated. He's been pinned once in 2 years. Why are people like Darby Allin and Darby Allin and Jimmy Havoc getting the opportunities at the world title? He wants what's due to him, and I agree with him. I think, AEW, they said wins and losses are going to matter. And it reaches the point where if they don't, if Pac's undefeated, but he hasn't gotten the opportunities he deserves, then it's a good thing to mention that, like, hey, why am I not getting what's due to me?
Yeah, they can totally use that. And I don't know. I feel like what we're going to get, I don't think Moxley's going to stay heel after Omega. I think it's going to be impossible to keep him heel for long. A true heel that they, a good heel you want people to loathe. And I think it's going to be Pac and Moxley feud after this, not Omega.
No, for sure.
But I'm actually more excited for Pac and Moxley. Not just for my dread of Kenny Omega most of the time, but I feel like those two would just have a kick-ass just war in a way.
Right. Again, two former WWE guys who are finally kind of like unchained and can do what they actually do best. I'm hoping what's happened with the Young Bucks for you is also going to happen with Kenny Omega. I'm hoping without like the like overexposure and everything like that. I'm hoping he kind of wins you over.
That's the thing. Over the past 2 years, I've said it in many a podcast. I'm way more lenient than I have been with Kenny Omega than the Bucks, because I've seen Kenny Omega tell some beautiful stories out there, has some kick-ass matches, not just let's make Meltzer come with how many flips we can do. You know what I mean?
Right, for sure.
Two gross comments this week. Main event time. Sammy Guevara sniffing a main event like this for the first time ever. You got a little bit of everything. You got the old guard. You got the GOT. You got Adam Page, and you got Sammy Guevara. You got the Inner Circle against Dustin Rhodes, Adam Page. Real quick, we didn't mention it earlier. The Inner Circle, love the name, hate the T-shirt. That's terrible looking. I'm sorry.
I wasn't against the shirt. I'm not gonna buy it, but I don't hate it.
Color choice is weird. It looks red. I don't know. It just looks like a stencil in like fucking arithmetic or something. I don't know. Something you do and I don't know. Something they trade. It looks terrible. It's like a bad Tool album.
I don't think either of the members of the Inner Circle were even wearing the shirt in this promo, which I think is a mistake.
No, because those polo shirts got to go. By the way, for Hager eventually. He's got to come across a little more. Come on, man.
I don't know. I kind of like the business casual look he's got going
Is it tucked in too? I think.
I don't think. I think, like I said, I think it's business casual.
What'd you think of this match, Colin? Main event, for week 2 Dynamite.
I thought it was a really good match. I thought, I like that, Sammy Guevara is kind of getting the main event sniff a little bit. I think teaming him with Jericho is a fantastic decision. I'm really liking Dustin Rhodes. I saw a tweet earlier from Klondike Bill talking about how he doesn't like that he's kind of he has the bodysuit on, he has the face paint on, and everything like that. He doesn't like that he's using what got him over in WWE, in this company. I'm thinking, yeah, I hate how Dustin Rhodes, I hate how Goldust always used to wear the red and black bodysuits and the red and black only half of his face painted. You remember all those classic times he did that in WWE.
Hey, by the way, shout out to Klondike Bill, who's going to be a guest on the Vicky High Spots coming up. Don't want to miss it.
Well, now I feel like an asshole, but that's fine.
That's even better.
My apologies. But, yeah, so, I meant nothing malicious by my comments.
Bill's a great guy. He does not going to care. Stop it.
Yeah, exactly. But I saw that, I'm thinking, like, he doesn't go by the name anymore. He doesn't go by Goldust. The colors are different. The face paint's different. And besides, it's probably his choice anyway, so it's different enough. But that's just a bone I had to pick real quick. But yeah, him with Hangman Page, Sammy Guevara, Jericho. I thought it was a great match. I think Goldust, Dustin Rhodes, god damn it, whatever his name is, I think he can still go. It's one of those things where, like, in 2019, these people who have been wrestling for 20, 30 years, some of them have no business being in wrestling still. Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, The Undertaker at this point. They have no business putting on a pair of boots ever again. But you get guys like Jericho, Dustin Rhodes, PCO, people like those who, like, they've kind of had a resurgence and can still actually move and can still perform at today's level. That's what I like to see. I like to see the older people who can still actually go with the younger crowd. And that's what this match kind of showcased, is Jericho and Rhodes can both still, kick ass with the best of them, especially when Jericho's their world champion. And same with Sammy Guevara and Hangman Page. It's also a great match where they're each teamed with a legend, and they're each there to be able to show off that they're both good wrestlers.
Man, I agree too. I feel like, look, if you can go, you can go. As long as you look good and you still go out there and you can hang with the young lions, then do it. Jesus Christ, we talked about NWA Power. Tim Storm apparently is ageless. This guy's 53, went out there this week, episode 1, had a world title match with Nick Aldis, and looked good. Looked good out there. It's crazy. No, I agree. And I feel like Jericho, he looks like he's fucking 35 still. Let's be real.
I mean, when he shaved the beard, it took a good 10 years off of his life, so, I mean, it was probably a good decision.
Yeah. But this match is all right. I feel like for me, I was surprised by the teamwork from Adam Page and Dustin Rhodes in this. They had some very cohesive moves. There was like a sidewalk slam from Rhodes, and then that little standing shooting star press from Adam Page. Very well done. Like, you thought they'd been tagging for a while. For sure.
Yeah, no, it's definitely... I liked it a lot. I thought the chemistry they had, which was surprising to me too, because like I saw the announcement with like Dustin Rhodes and Hangman Page, and I thought, those aren't two names I thought like you just wouldn't expect them to be in the tag team.
I didn't.
And yeah, no, they definitely performed well, like they had been doing this before.
I didn't hate it. Where like if it's kind of like Dustin standing up for his little brother who wasn't on the episode at all till the very end this week. Who I guess they were kind of without saying it was like an injury thing, like they took him out because they beat him up so bad. So as soon as they announced this week for this week, last week, anyone's head exploded. I'm just sorry. When I saw Dustin Rose in this match, I immediately went, he's eating the pin. And sure as shit, this week he ate the pin because it makes sense. He's got the least.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got the absolute least to lose out of anyone out there, and probably Jericho definitely. But besides Jericho, has people gain the most credibility by beating him. Even though Jericho beat Dustin Rhodes, which totally negates everything I just said, but. No, it was the right call. You got to get the new group over, and you got to beat down the baby faces first before you build them back up. You just got to know when to draw the line, like we said about beating them down too much, basically.
Exactly. And the thing is, it kind of adds to Hangman Page's sort of like redemption story that they're hopefully going to tell soon, because that's another loss he's taken. He's not winning a whole lot recently, and yeah, with Dustin Rhodes taking the pin, it's. They're not good. They shouldn't have pinned Page in this match, and they didn't, and that was a good call. And especially with, the Judas effect has grown on me as a move. I thought it was stupid the first time I saw it, but if Jericho delivers it right, it's devastatingly fun to watch. And especially with someone as old as Goldust, I know I'm talking about like being able to go with the rest of them, but I mean, with someone like Goldust in his age, his body in kayfabe is probably not the greatest. So, I mean, yeah, you take a good elbow to the face and you're probably not going to get up for a second.
By the way, I love that this is documented. I can rub it in your face forever. I love that you keep saying Goldust, because this is coming from the guy who every time I say the words Kevin Steen puts a gif up of a pretentious wrestling fan. So fuck you, Colin. Huh?
You got me. I can't fight that one. You got me.
Real quick, this leads to our second question. It's about Dustin Rhodes from our buddy Jim from Drink a Beer, Play a Game. Once again, shout out to them. Check them out on YouTube at A Beer and a Game. His question is, do we think we can see Dustin Rhodes getting at least one nostalgia run with the AEW World title? Colin?
I'd like to see it. If I'm being honest, I would definitely like to see it. However, do I think it'll happen? I'm not too sure. I could see them possibly doing like another Goldust versus Cody match where Goldust, god damn it, I'm doing it again. Where
Boom.
I've already said, screw it, whatever.
It's what you deserve.
He gets the win over Cody, possibly, but other than that, I'm not sure if they'll do it. I think he's solely there to kind of like just sort of be the legend who's, in this new company, but I don't think, like I said, I like to see it. I just don't think it will.
You know what? Call me crazy. And I'm not just doing it because I feel like I have to debate Colin every fucking thing. No, fuck anyone who thinks that. It's my actual thought. I can see him doing it because I thought the match with Cody was going to be his last match. You did too, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't. Here we are reviewing another match. I feel like when it is finally going to be his last match, they're going to build it up. It's going to be a program. And I think he'll win the belt at some point, but it's not going to be for long. The reign's going to last a week to a month tops. But I feel like they'll do a long angle for his retirement where he'll win his first ever world title.
Wow, yeah, you're right. It would be his first world title. Yeah, in that case, now that you mentioned that, I think they might give it to him. Because, I mean, I would like to see him win a world title before he hangs the boots up for good.
Dude, let's be honest. There's worse guys to put it on right now, too, because he's really over with that crowd.
Absolutely, for sure. Does anyone not like, Dustin Rhodes? Does anyone honestly look at him and think, no, I don't like him?
It's hard not to. Well, when he did, like, the weird S&M Goldust character back in the Attitude Era, I was kind of like, that's gross.
Yeah, I suppose when he was Black Rain, people might have thought differently, but
I don't hate Black Rain.
Don't ever tell him that on Twitter. He'll block you quicker than you can blink.
There's someone that tell me that too, because there's a fun fact. I never really hated that gimmick. I thought it had legs, but silly me. This led to all hell breaking loose, basically. By the way, Jericho got the win after Jake Hager interfered. It's not like he just beat Dustin clean. There was shenanigans and then Judas effect.
For sure.
After the match, Inner Circle beats down all the baby faces. Lights go out. Sting? No, it's Cody.
I'm going to be honest, I thought it was going to be Orange Cassidy like they did last week, and I was going to be very confused, but I love Orange Cassidy, so I wasn't going to complain.
What if it was Orange Cassidy and they do like what they used to do with the Hurricane in WWF? Like, yeah, the Hurricane would come out and get a huge pop, but like, you remember the Rumble where like he tried to choke slam Steve Austin, Triple H, and they just laughed at him?
Right, I would have loved that. But yeah, no, Cody Rhodes coming out looking way more orange than I think I've ever seen him.
Right.
That spray tan was very apparent.
Yeah, that's true. Thank God he didn't wrestle. It'd be like
Sure.
Alexander Wolf when he wrestles, just dripping in orange paint. Now that he's in
Right.
Imperium.
For sure.
Um,
Hit one of the most connecting crossroads I have ever seen.
Oh,
He
yeah.
just about spiked Sammy Guevara with that one.
Yeah, I noticed that. That was a nasty one. At first, I thought he was actually injured. I'm like, oh shit.
Right, yeah. And then, tried to get the up on Jericho. PMP came in, started beating him up, and then everybody except Omega from the Elite basically came out to make the save.
You just said PNP because you knew I was probably going to say LAX, and you're waiting to throw it back in my face, but I'm not falling for it. All hell started breaking loose, and here comes my least favorite part of the show. Okay. MJF comes in and saves Cody. Now I know, I get it. I fucking know people. And being the Elite, Cody's his mentor and his best friend and all that shit. Doesn't make sense. This is your best fucking heel. What do you know? If you're gonna turn on Cody, I just don't like it. I don't even want to be teased that MJF is even somewhat of a babyface. There's just some things you don't do.
I was thinking that while watching this, that like he's a heel, but at the same time, he was getting the babyface reaction, he was doing the babyface thing, and at the same time, I think it's weird with MJF because every time he wrestles, because like his match last week with Brandon Cutler, he was the obvious heel. He was working the crowd, they were booing and everything like that, and then this week, he's getting the cheers and everything like that. I still consider him a heel. I think it just honestly depends on who he's working with and what's happening. Because I mean, he's also one of those people like you just love to cheer for him, even though he's a dick. So yeah, it's definitely I definitely see where you're coming from because he's obviously he's a money heel, hands down.
He's such a good heel on Twitter. I saw today where he quote tweeted somebody just put, "Hey man, I think you're the future of the business," and he just put, "Water is wet, asshole. Thanks," or something like that.
Right?
It's
Yeah,
fucking great.
I saw. Yeah, no, fantastic.
This felt overbooked. This felt very WCW, this ending, and I get it. You're trying to establish these two groups going at it. Is it too soon to do this much? By the way, Darby Allin rode in on a skateboard to take out Chris Jericho, and that was kind of an awkward tackle. And what's with those punches to the stomach? What the fuck was that?
It did catch me a little bit off guard. I love the skateboard thing. I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
But the punches to the stomach did catch me a little bit off guard.
I bet Jericho gave him a fucking ass chewing after that backstage. Those look terrible. Those look worse than Shane McMahon punches. I got to be honest.
I mean that's hard to accomplish, but I wouldn't doubt it.
I just felt like this was too much for a new eye to process at once. It's like you don't start with Avengers Endgame. That's the last. I don't know. Does that make sense? I just feel like it was just overbooked, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely understand that.
But they could have done way worse. And that was it, man. That was episode 2. It's in the books. I guess I had more to say about it than I did, and I ended up actually getting pretty angry about the MJF thing. So there you go. But I got to say, I wouldn't say it's must-watch. I would say week 1 was probably must-watch just for history's sake. But this is definitely, check it out. It didn't win out of all the wrestling this week. Like I said, NWA, man, it was my favorite. Takes the cake, but this was good. This is probably 2 or 3 right there at the NXT. What did you think this week of what do you grade Dynamite episode 2, Colin?
I'd say B plus, B in the middle, something like that. Definitely not like a show that's like, it's not going to go down in history as one of the the best, but it's also one of those things where like because the promotion is so new and everything like that, if you want to keep up with AEW, definitely check this show out. Like you won't regret it. It was a good show.
Yeah, I don't think there's, unless you just flat out hate the talent as people, you're not going to come away from watching this show angry. I don't feel like more times than not. Check it out.
Exactly.
Thank you guys for checking us out. Episode 2 is in the books. Hope you guys dug it. Colin, my man, one more time, thank you again for doing that. I was about to say for staying up late because I'm so used to Matt in England, but I'm the one that stayed up late. Thank you, man. One more time, where can everyone catch you and all that you do?
Check me out on Twitter at UberTieGuy. Always live tweet wrestling. I'll be live tweeting the draft tomorrow as it's happening. Yeah, just follow me on Twitter.
Bada bing, bada boom, man. I'll see you here right next week. We cover Dynamite episode 3, man. Until then, there's always that awkward pause because we don't know what to say. On Twitter.
I thought that was the outro. I was thinking like, all right, cool, we're done, and then guess I was wrong.
I gotta plug myself.
Oh, that's true.
On Twitter at the Hibiki TMD, hit that little red button right down below. Check me out also, ProWrestlingJournal.com. Check out the Hibiki TMD merch store, UnionSmack.BigCartel.com. Get a shirt, get a scarf, get a hat, get it now. The alternative's in the books. See you then.